The pharmaceutical industry operates in one of the strictest of regulatory environments, and for obvious reasons. Mistakes can be fatal. The process of testing and seeking approval for a new drug is a long one. It takes more than a decade to get a drug to market sometimes. But now the industry has come together to adopt a new system to help to speed up this process. It doesn't mean cutting corners. It simply means using technology to cut down on all the paperwork.
Preclinical and clinical trials for new drugs are carefully orchestrated and meticulously recorded. At each step in the process, doctors and clinical investigators must sign off the research before gaining regulatory approval to move on to the next stage.
At the moment, to meet current legislation, when we're forming submissions and working with clinical trials to have documents that need signing, they have to be wet signatures, so people actually have to physically sign pieces of paper.
A typical drug has to undergo numerous clinical trials, sometimes involving tens of thousands of patients from trial centres around the world. Getting a drug like this to market typically takes around 10 to 12 years and costs around $1 billion. It also generates a mountain of paperwork, around 6.5 million pages of data per drug. Theoretically, cutting down on the paperwork will speed up the approval and cut costs. That's one of the reasons that major pharmaceutical companies, including Pfizer, have come together to develop a system using digital signatures to bring the paper-based approval process online. The system, called SAFE, Signatures and Authentication for Everyone, uses the same kind of technology found in chip-and-pin banking cards to digitally identify a user.
We'll insert the SAFE credential, click the Sign and Submit again. It picks up my name from my digital certificate, and then that signature and certificate is validated by Core Street Technology at the SAFE data center. Once the digital signature is signed, it's automatically safely transmitted. And at this point, the recipient knows that the sender is trusted by SAFE and is permitted to send this document.
Digital signatures are already used and trusted by other industries such as defence and finance, and use a data encryption scheme to confirm both the author's identity and the integrity of the file during its transmission over the internet. According to technology experts, safe digital signatures can be used with a high degree of assurance.
Pharmaceuticals is a very good example of an industry sector where people need to feel secure. They need to know that the results of drug trials are the real results of drug trials, that information that's passing around these companies is being kept safe and secure. So it's reasonable for people to expect very, very high degrees of security. Now, digital signatures, these kinds of digital signatures, certainly deliver that.
Having gained the approval of some of the biggest governing bodies in the industry, including the Food and Drug Administration in the USA and the European Medicines Agency, the new system is in the process of being piloted across the pharmaceutical industry. And with most of the big pharma companies behind the new technology, it's likely the industry will become more harmonised as a result.
It is looking at standard ways of working across the industry that will be approved by the regulators and meet the clinical trial legislation that is currently in place. So it's not just about technology, it's about a legally enforceable and a trusted way of working for the pharmaceutical industry.
And of course it's also about efficiency and cost saving.
In general industry, we found about 40% of all costs are involved in pushing paper around processes. And by providing electronic methods of doing this, we expect to see similar sort of savings.
The ability to keep all of the data in a digital form obviously means huge cost savings, not just for the storage, but because of the retrieval. I mean, going back through 20-year-old paper and trying to find which doctor was involved in which drug trials, you can imagine what that's like on paper, but of course for a computer to search a database, it's nothing.
The pharmaceutical industry is the latest sector to join the world of digital signatures, but the nature of the technology and the high security it offers means other sectors will soon be on board.
Eventually, everybody will be able to send things to everybody else in a very secure way. Everybody will recognise the digital signatures, but it will grow up by interconnecting these kinds of islands of security that will gradually come together.
Though the complexity of modern clinical trials is unlikely to change in the future, the use of technology to reduce costly reliance on paper could bring a life-saving drug to the market just a little sooner, and who knows, even a little cheaper.